I've got to switch gears for a little bit here because I've got to defend my friend Matt Walsh. Matt has been getting in big trouble with Media Matters and all of the libs who are calling Matt a racist. They call us all racists because Matt pointed out that mermaids are not black. Because Matt pointed out that mermaids are white. This is a scientific fact. He actually says that mermaids are translucent, like all those sorts of creepy little fish at the bottom of the sea. And this has become a big national debate that then has gone, I think, into the realm of the absurd, where one prominent lib on social media said that the debate is stupid and Matt is obviously a racist because they're ignoring the fact that mermaids don't even exist. And I thought, what are you talking about? Mermaids don't exist. You're telling me it's 2022. In 2022, there are still people who are seriously arguing that mermaids do not exist, even after Christopher Columbus saw several of them with his own eyes in 1493. Even after John Cook, famous sailor John Cook, saw a mermaid. Also back in the 17th century. Are you kidding me? Doesn't make sense. There are many eyewitness accounts of mermaids. Now, I'm not saying that mermaids definitely exist. Okay, I'm just saying there are many eyewitness accounts of mermaids spanning at least several centuries and then going way, way back into folklore. I guess the point I want to make is, amid all of our modern hubris about what all those stupid, crazy old people thought, all these fantastic delusional things, I just want to point out that, for instance, there is much more scientific evidence that mermaids exist than that the COVID vaccines present infection and transmission. For sure. You've got all of the modern, really fancy white lab coat wearing, stethoscope having modern scientists who said that the COVID vaccines will prevent infection and transmission of the virus. And all I'm pointing out is many more people have seen mermaids than have seen the COVID vaccine prevent infection and transmission of the virus. There are all sorts of modern scientific things that are much less plausible than mermaids. The idea that global warming is going to kill us all in 10 years, and that was a few years ago that people were predicting that. The idea that global cooling was going to kill us all within a couple of decades. The idea that the overpopulation was going to cause mass worldwide famines. Those predictions were made by major environmentalist groups in 1970. None of that happened. Actually, the world population doubled, malnutrition hit an all-time low. People became fatter than ever. Much more evidence of mermaids than of overpopulation. There's just a modern hubris that we have. We look in the past, we say, oh my gosh, those dumb old people in the Renaissance or the Middle Ages or ancient times, they believe the craziest things. They're big dumb idiots because they didn't even have iPhones like I do. I'm so smart. We believe way crazier things than they did. There are way crazier things to believe in than mermaids. Okay, I'll give you an example of one. This guy, Jack Turbin, who I've seen him before. He's some lib blue check. He's got all sorts of weird like gay flags and things in his Twitter bio. And he's got his degree, MD. It says Jack Turbin, MD, and he is a radical transgender activist. So this is what he tweets at. He says, 4 years at Harvard, 5 years at Yale, 3 more years at Harvard, 2 years at Stanford. But Karen 0526789 has some thoughts about sex chromosomes. And what he's saying there at the end is, you idiot conservatives, you seem to think that men and women are different. You don't believe in transgenderism. But I went to Harvard, you see. And because I went to Harvard, I know that boys are secretly girls or whatever. That's his argument. Reminds me of Socrates. Socrates, famously, when arguing with an idiot, he says, look, neither me nor this idiot know anything about what is really good and beautiful. But I have a little bit of an advantage over this guy because this guy doesn't know anything and he thinks he knows something. And I don't know anything and I know that I don't know anything. And it is amazing, but I have never seen somebody with their academic degree listed in their Twitter name, Jack Turbin, MD, or so-and-so, PhD. I've never seen someone who lists an academic degree in their name who seems intelligent or wise. Find me the counterexample. I don't mean it just to call my opponents idiots or anything. That's really not. I'm just saying if you compare the kinds of people who list their academic degrees and who boast about things like, I went to Harvard for this many years and I went to Stanford and that's why I'm so much smarter than everybody else. Every time I see people like that, they seem way dumber and they believe way crazier stuff than the people who have any humility whatsoever. But of course, this is the case. This is always the case. This is not some new phenomenon. The people who think of themselves as super duper smart usually look like fools and are given to pride and hubris and end up believing insane things. And the people who recognize that actually we don't really know very much of anything at all, they tend to be much wiser. And this is one of the delights of our fallen world, one of the consolations of it, is the people who consider themselves really, really smart and wise pretty much always look like big dumb idiots, okay? This guy, Jack Turban, believes that boys are secretly girls and girls are secretly boys and advocates giving them all sorts of drugs and cross-sex hormones and bodily genital mutilations so that little boys look more like little girls and vice versa. And it's ghastly and it's horrible. But if you can just not think about the suffering and pain caused by this for a second, you just think of it in a more abstracted way, it's absolutely freaking hilarious that this dude has spent, how long? He's spent how many years in the Ivy League? 5 at Harvard, 4 at Harvard, 5 at Yale, 3 more at Harvard, something like that. It's kind of hard to see here. 4 years at Harvard, yeah, there we go, 9, 12. Oh, then another 2 at Harvard. So, and then you've got Stanford on top of that. So this guy's been throughout the Ivy League and all the top schools forever, and he thinks that boys can secretly be girls. It's amazing. You out there listening very likely did not spend all these many years, a dozen years in the Ivy League, and yet you know that boys are not girls. You are much smarter than this man. You have much more wisdom. It's a real lesson. A little humility goes a long way. Speaking of LGBT, one of the most hilarious episodes that I've ever seen come out of sports just came out of UMass. So UMass, the football team, is supposed to play Liberty University. And to own the libs, to own the liberties, really to own the Christian conservatives, UMass has declared that their football team is super duper gay. It says, please stand by for a special announcement. Got this nice hype music going on. Pride Day over the football player dancing around in a rainbow-looking club. Massachusetts versus Liberty, October 8th, 3:30. Yeah, and he's pointing. He's like, this is Pride Day, baby. Now, I thought Pride Day Pride was originally a day, then it was a week, then it was a month, but that was back in June. But now it's September, and we're hearing that Pride Day is going to be in October. It's just Pride all the time because LGBT is the kind of public religion and public liturgy of the libs, and so they're forcing that on everybody else. But the UMass football team is now, they're so triggered by anyone who's Christian or conservative, like Liberty U, that in order to own the Christian conservatives, they're saying, yeah, you're going to, well, guess what? We're super gay. Yeah, we're not even just gay, we're trans. That's right. Yeah, look at us. Oh, I bet you guys are so triggered. Us, the UMass football team, we're actually little girls. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, aren't you totally owned? No, not really at all. Not really at all. You are in a vain attempt to own liberty and the Christian conservatives. You are making yourself look, at the very least, frivolous and foolish. I'm so glad you liked that clip. Now, hold up. You got to ring that bell. Subscribe. Get all the notifications. We'll see you next time.